This video is all about EJ20X and EJ20Y engines that were over in Japan and are now imported into the US. It is winter here now in Michigan, and we figured it'd be a good time to film our EJ20X review video because I have them in both my cars, and my winter car is back out and being abused in the winter time here now, drifting and all the sorts of fun stuff you do in the winter with Subarus. I also have this 2005 STI that we are turning into a little mini truck ute, and that also has an EJ20X in it as well. So we're filming a video so we can get some content of both cars with EJ20Xs in them. I have had some personal experience with them in my cars, and I get a lot of questions from videos I post about them. So this whole video is going to be about that. I am not an expert. This is just some personal experience I've had with my cars. I don't know everything. I don't know all the little details. So there might be things I either get wrong or I'm missing. So what is it? It is a 2-liter engine that was in, I believe, from what we found, 2003 to 2008 Subaru, I think Legacy GTs mainly over in Japan. They are 2-liter dual AVCS, which the AVCS is the variable cam timing on the intake and the exhaust side. That makes it dual AVCS. And the EJ20X and the EJ20Y, I don't know exactly what the differences are from what we could find. The 20X came more in manual transmission cars, and the Y came in automatic transmission cars. I do know that the EJ20Ys have an oil cooler on them where the oil filter screws on versus the 20Xs do not. And none of these engines came in the US. All of these engines are from Japan, imported by importers, and then sold here in the US. For fitment, you'll see that a lot of people will say these fit lots of different cars, and they can. Physically, they fit a lot of cars, basically any turbo Subaru that has an EJ engine in it, so not the FA newer WRX engines, it will fit. But like the 0205 WRXs, you would have to change a lot of stuff mechanically to get them to work, such as things with the cam sensor plugs and other wiring that will not work on those cars. But for a lot of newer cars that at least have single AVCS on the intake side, they'll work with. So for example, 2004 to 2007 Subaru STIs, if you were wanting to put one of these 20X or 20Ys into one of those cars, you could use the intake AVCS, the wiring will plug right in. The exhaust AVCS though will not work, and if you just leave everything unplugged, they're pretty sluggish on the low end. From what, again, I haven't personally done this because my cars are all dual AVCS, and so everything plugs right in. But for the older ones, from what I found, is you can retard the cam gear 1 to 2 teeth and not plug anything in, so you don't plug any of the sensors in. You just leave it all unplugged because you don't have wiring for it in your car, and it will help with the low end supposedly quite a bit versus not doing anything. Now, for both my cars that I have them in, one is a 2017 STI, one is a 2008 STI, and both of those cars are dual AVCS from the factory. And depending on the EJ20X you get, which we will go over, they are, when I say that they are plug and play, when I get the 20X and it has all the plastic intake manifold and the twin scroll turbo and all the stuff that it has from Japan, I remove all of it and throw it all away. You only use the physical long block. We're not using the intake manifold, the exhaust manifold, the turbo, any of the wiring it comes with. You can use the oil pan and the oil pickup if you want. I usually do an IAG or Killer Bee pickup or pan on mine. So once you have them torn down to a physical long block, then you put all your components back on the car, that kind of stuff. So a couple things that I check when I have these torn down is on all of these EJ engines, it can be common for the oil pump screws on the back can back out over time from vibrations, and you can lose oil pressure that way. So I remove the oil pump, pull all the screws out, put red Loctite on them, and tighten them back down. And so I know that is good to go. Put the oil pump back on, reseal it. And then the other thing I check is I pull the valve covers off and I check valve lash. That is the clearance between the cams and the cam bucket, or the valve bucket that sits on top of the valve. I check all those clearances, make sure those look good. If they don't, then you have to dig in a little bit more and solve that. But the 2 or 3 that I've done in my cars, they have all been within spec. Also just general things. How does the oil look when you drain the oil out of it? Because usually they all have the oil in them when you get them. Some of this is gonna play into who you buy from, where you buy it, that kind of stuff. Now, in what situation would it be a good decision to buy one of these engines? Personally for me, it was that I don't do anything crazy power-wise with my cars, and I can't justify spending to put even a used EJ257 back in those cars. It's at least $3 grand, usually $3,000 to $6,000. If If you want to go with a new engine, like a new block, and get your heads redone, now we're looking at like 7 to 8 grand. And so for my personal cars that I just want to rip around, not make a ton of power and have fun, and if I pop an engine, I can just throw another one in there for another 1,500 bucks. So if you're on a budget, it's a good option. Potentially, it's not as cheap as just the price of the engine. You also need a tune, which we'll get into a little bit later. That's an additional cost that you will need to think about as well. You cannot run these without changing the tune because it is a 2-liter engine into a 2.5-liter car, and it is different. It might run, but you definitely will want a retune. As of power that you can make on these things, I'd say they're good for stock-ish power. Both my cars are on E85, 93 and E85. One of them is, we think, right around the 400 wheel horsepower mark, which is not what I would say is safe by any means in these things. So I'm kind of playing with fire, but we're just kind of experimenting to see where that takes us. The other one is probably around the 300, 330 horsepower mark. I think around that 300, maybe 350 is the okay-ish area. I'm gonna say like maybe 275 to 300, 275 to 325 is more what they can reasonably handle, as long as you're not just out abusing the thing all day long. But I would not, they're not a good engine to go make a ton of power on. The EJ20Xs are an open deck design versus the factory EJ257s are a semi-open deck, or a semi-closed deck, I believe is what they actually call it. Because of that, the cylinder walls on the EJ20Xs or 20Ys can be weaker than the EJ257s, and so that's one reason you don't want to make a bunch of power. The other reason is because it's still a cast piston, factory rod engine, factory head bolts, factory head gaskets. They're not meant to make a lot of power unless you want to mess around with making more power like I'm trying with one of my cars. It's not a great engine for a big turbo. It is a 2-liter, so it's going to take longer to spool the turbo. Even with a stock STI turbo, they are noticeably laggier, especially if you are running one of these engines in your single AVCS car. It makes it even worse. If you are single AVCS and you put a big turbo on it, it's not going to want to spool up. You're going to have a very small power band. These engines are higher compression ratio than the factory EJ257s. Therefore, they can work on 93 with the right tuning, with safe tuning, with good fuel. I would think 91 you could make them work as well, but you're going to make less power because they're more prone to detonate, to knock, not rod knock, but to spark knock. And so they prefer E85. They're smoother, they make more power on E85, which is the case for most engines, but that's why both my cars have flex fuel kits, because I can run 93 just when I'm in the winter time and I'm not beating on the thing as much. And then when I want more power and when I want to be a little bit smoother and safer, I'll put that E85 in it. Pros and cons. We hit a few of them lightly. One of the pros is the cost. They're cheaper than finding an EJ257 or an EJ255. I would say at minimum, they're probably half the cost unless you find a really good deal on one. People that tell you just to throw in a short block into your car that rod knocked, it is not that simple. When you rod knock a car, you've got metal everywhere. You got to redo your heads, your cam gears, your turbo, your oil pump, your oil cooler, oil lines. There's so much more than just tossing in a short block. So it's not that $2,000 to $2,200 price tag of a short block to fix your car. It's more like $5,000 plus when you do it correctly. So cost is a big thing with those. It's way cheaper. They come with the cam gears, they come with the cam solenoids, they come with the oil pump, the oil pan, all that stuff that is free of bearing material. Reliability at stockish power, like I said, I think they can be just as reliable as the EJ257s. So I would say that's a pro in a sense. Also, it can be a con if you're trying to make more power. Reliability is not necessarily in the same word as high horsepower and Subarus in general, let alone an EJ20X. Another pro would be the plug-and-play-ish of the engines. Plug-and-play-ish because you are removing all the accessories on this engine and you're using all your factory accessories. If you get a newer EJ20X that has the air pump system on them, if your car has an air pump system like my 2008 and 2017 cars do, if you use all your factory air pump stuff, it will plug into that engine, so you could be emission compliant still. And if you get those newer ones on those dual AVCS cars, the cam sensor on the bottom is also plug and play, which can be an issue between years. On one of my cars, the exhaust cam sensors, I had to remove them and install my factory ones and do a little bit of modification to the cam sensor, but I haven't had any issues with it as of now. It's been, I think that engine's been in that car for 2 years, I believe. Some cons now about this engine. It's a gamble. Buying a used engine, especially an imported engine that is pretty old, 2008, 2003 to 2008, those are pretty old engines. Definitely a gamble. Buying any engine used is a gamble, but especially these, because who knows how long they've been sitting, who knows how they were treated before, all those things. Tuning required. Again, I said this earlier, but because it's a 2-liter going into a 2.5-liter car, you need to get a tune. Do not run this engine without getting a tune. Talk to your tuner before you buy this engine. Make sure he's okay with tuning this engine. Make sure he's okay with the setup you got, all those kind of things. Power-wise, again, not an engine that you're gonna want to buy to try and make a bunch of power, so that's another con. As for importers, who you should buy them from, personally, I bought both my engines, and then a local shop around here and a couple of my buddies have bought engines from this place. It is JDM Racing Motors. On all their listings on their website, they have compression tests of the engine that you're looking at. I haven't had to deal with one of their warranties, so I do not know how their warranty will go or how it is. Most of these places offer only a 30-day warranty, and it's a 30-day startup parts only warranty. So if you start it up and it rod knocks, they're not paid for the labor to remove the engine. They might send you another engine, those kind of things. I don't know if they pay return shipping, but both of their engines have been good so far that I have done. Find an importer or somebody that you trust that has good reviews. They will communicate with you. They will back up their warranty. Compression tests would be great to see on all the engines like that. That kind of wraps up my main thoughts on it. If you guys have any questions below, please drop them, please comment. I love reading comments, love replying to them. If you don't consistently follow me, you may not know, but I have a business where we sell Subaru performance and OEM parts. You can probably see some of them sitting around. Our eBay is slowly catching up to present time parts, so I have my eBay linked in my YouTube bio if you want to check that out. If you're looking for performance parts, if you're looking for 6-speed swaps, Brembos, OEM stuff, just random headlights, all that kind of stuff, we have a lot of that stuff. Feel free to contact me on Facebook, eBay, Instagram, all those different things where we also create content, also on TikTok as well. Burger Performance Parts is the name of the business, so if you search that up on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they should all come up. On Facebook, I do have a business page, Burger Performance Parts, and you can follow that, or you can follow my personal Facebook page. We post parts on both of them. Facebook is the best place to get first access on parts. If you just like to watch content, you don't actually have a car, you don't like to modify it, you can just watch my content on all those platforms as well. We try and put out videos fairly consistently, like we try here on YouTube as well. Thank you for watching. Again, if you want to check out those platforms, if you want to buy parts from me, help support me, that helps us out a ton. Hope to see you guys in the next videos, and think about your next engine swap if you want to do this or not.